Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Keipert Labs. In today's video, we're going to be discussing the endocrine system, one of the key functioning systems of the human body to help control, in coordination and control. Okay, so we're going to remind ourselves about what we mean by coordination and control in terms of how the body needs to function. And then we're going to look at the three different aspects of the endocrine system: the hormones, we're going to look at glands, and then finally to target organs. And then we're going to recap at the end. So when we're thinking about coordination and control, remember that the body has a series of different systems that need to function together, that have a specialized job, that needs to be coordinated effectively in order to make sure that you survive as a living thing. And so your body needs a way to make sure that that happens. The point of that is this idea we call homeostasis, or maintaining a balance, keeping things the same. So ways to keep certain functions of your body maintaining at the same level, and so that then you can breathe in and out, your heart continues to beat from now until the day you die. And so there's two main systems that are responsible for that. The first one, which we've talked about in the past, is the nervous system, responsible for fast control. So so things that there needs to be a really quick response that's short acting, so it only lasts for a brief nanosecond, but the idea being that it needs to happen very quickly. The other system that's involved is our endocrine system, which is what we would say is slow control. So things that take longer to act, but that last longer, for a more long-lasting effect. Okay, and so the first aspect of the endocrine system is that we have hormones, these chemical compounds or chemical substances, which are effectively a messenger. Okay, so that they physically transport this message, transport the message from point A to point B, and they transport it in the blood. I'll show you why in a moment. But so they're actually so you can see a couple of more familiar ones here, or ones that the names may be familiar anyway. So adrenaline, responsible for your fight or flight kind of response. Thyroxine, which is one that's given off by your thyroid, that helps to control your metabolism. So testosterone and estrogen. So we're talking about sex hormones. You can see that their structures are really quite similar. Like you've got these different kind of hexagon, pentagon shapes that are common between them, and some other kind of characteristics that are similar too. Oxytocin, or often is a kind of a love hormone, or one that's given off, with someone that you're in a relationship with, or someone, so perhaps like from parent to child, or from a long-term married couple, that this is responsible for those feelings of affection. And then also one that's more relevant for you than for me at the moment is human growth hormone. Okay, so where it is responsible for your body growing and developing over time. Okay, that these hormones, these messages are long-lasting. So the idea is, because it's a physical chemical that is situated in the right spot, then as long as that chemical is there, that then action can be taken. Okay, and these hormones act on what we call target organs. So that's the kind of the recipient or the receiver of that message. So the hormones travel from point A to point B, and they reach the target organ and cause a specific effect. Okay, now these aren't the only 6 hormones that you could ever encounter, but there are a couple of notable examples. Now we talk about glands. Okay, so we said that hormones travel through the blood, they reach a spot at the end called a target organ, but where do they start? They start or are produced in these organs called glands. Okay, so they produce and then secrete hormones into the bloodstream. So they generate the chemical, so they actually build the compound, and then they push it out into the bloodstream through what we call ducts for most of them. And some of them dump it straight into the bloodstream directly. Okay, well, if we go back here, so here's some kind of the male-female comparison of the position of various different glands. Okay, so you've got a couple of different glands that exist inside the brain, so the hypothalamus, pituitary, and the pineal gland. The pituitary is often known as the master gland because it's often the one that's directly connected to the brain, and then it actually sends out signals to lots of other glands to kick in their effect. We've got the thyroid and parathyroid glands, which are responsible for the way your body responds to metabolism and things. You've got your thymus, which is just above your breastbone in terms of general position. Your adrenal glands, okay, renal means your kidney, so the adrenal glands sit on top or kind of just above your kidneys. Okay, the pancreas, and then in the female we've got ovaries, and then in the men we've got testes. Okay, and so there are different glands that produce particular hormones. Some glands produce multiple hormones, other glands only produce one hormone, depending on what the function of that gland is. Okay, but so that's where the hormones start. And so now how do they get from point A to point B? Well, they travel in the bloodstream. We mentioned that before. Okay, because the endocrine system, unlike the nervous system, doesn't have specialized cells to transport the message. So we have the neuron which sends a signal from point A to point B. That's how that signal is able to go. Whereas this chemical needs a physical mechanism in order to get to where it needs to go. When it's being secreted or produced at one end, it needs to act at a different place. The way that it gets there is through blood vessels. Okay, so that the secreting cells, so that the little blue circles in this diagram represent the hormone molecules that are secreted, put into the blood, and then they travel to where they need to go, and then they diffuse out of the blood to reach the target cell. And you can see this kind of semicircular shape. This on the target cell is designed to lock in with that hormone, so that it's like a lock and key. Okay, and then it will cause the effect at the target cell, but whatever that one's supposed to do. So we must use the bloodstream in order to go from point A to point B. Now that distance might be short, it might be long, it might be multiple places, it might be a single place, okay, but the bloodstream, which connects all the cells in your body together, is a natural way, a natural choice. Okay, and so now we think about some target organs. So looking at kind of glands, hormones, and then target organs. So the adrenal gland producing adrenaline, so target organs, so your vital organs. Okay, so that we're talking about causing a specific effect at the target organs. So you're thinking about heart, liver, lungs, things that need to prepare your body for instant defensive action. Okay, a fight, flight, or freeze kind of response is what adrenaline is responsible for. Okay, so it will increase your heart rate, will increase your breathing rate, your blood pressure will go up, all these sorts of things that can help to deliver extra oxygen to your muscles, which your body might need to help you escape. Okay, on different ones, say you've got ovaries producing two different hormones that have different target organs, related but different. Okay, and so that they have different purposes. So estrogen does one thing, progesterone does a different thing, and so that they kind of control the processes in sexual development in females, and also then the function of the reproductive system. Okay, the pituitary gland I mentioned is we call it the master gland because it releases a number of different hormones that act on different targets. This one goes to the kidney, these ones go to the ovaries, okay, because they've got very different jobs. One controls blood pressure, another one helps, these two help to relate to the female reproductive system. Okay, so different targets for different hormones for different effects. It's all just about wherever that message needs to go to get that thing happening. Okay, and you may have a target organ that responds to several different hormones. So the ovary is kind of responding to a range of different hormones. Estrogen, FSH, LH. Okay, they're, for example, so that one hormone may have multiple targets. One target organ may respond to multiple hormones to do different jobs. Okay, so we talked about the concept of coordination and control to help make sure that your body systems can function together effectively, whether it's fast control or slow control. We talked about then the role of hormones as the chemical messengers that travel from point A to point B through the bloodstream, that they originate from glands which produce and then secrete those hormones into the blood, and then they act on target organs at the other end. So where that then they, which produces the effect in your body. All right, thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.